Hey everyone, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me here, Annie, as your new co-host here on What Is This Game?
On this show, we are here to talk about games. We rant, rave, and ramble about ones that we like or even ones that we don't like. But this week, we're here to focus on one that we know we both are really into and has consumed a bunch of our time. Take it away, Dylan. What game are we talking about?
We are talking about Civilization 6, known to the community as Civ 6 for short. And yes, Fear Axis has taken up so much of my last 2 years. I have missed out on so much socializing, rather than doing that. I have been playing XCOM 2, and then I moved over to Fear Axis's other game, Civilization 6. And there is a lot of thought that goes into these games, a lot of strategy, and I very much enjoy that.
Strategy is like if you could just describe this in one word, it's strategy. It's like for the listener, it's like a board game of Risk and like Settlers of Catan, kind of all wrapped into one. You you play the game, you set out, and you only start out with a settler and a warrior to protect your settlers. And you can basically just found your city anywhere. And it starts out super simple because you only have a couple of options. You pick where you want to settle, or you just start immediately where the game picks you. It's kind of your choice, but the longer you wait to set up your first city, it can be a detriment to your progress overall.
If I don't set up my city in my first turn, I get annoyed. And I think everyone says you must be setting up your city by the second turn. And yeah, it gets so much more difficult. As I was playing through this, I noticed uh, as I got further in, 10 turns took me an hour, where towards the beginning, turns just go really quick. There is not much you need to do, but you develop your city, you develop your civilization. There are many more units to get into. And yeah, the city placement is just so important. This is what's known as a 4X game. And as you said, like a board game, you do your turn and then the other players do their turn. I've actually never played with another person. I've only played against the computer. I believe that's how most people play Civ 6. And the computer players aren't that smart, but as you up the difficulty, they get little handicaps that gets them more. There's just so much to monitor in this game, to where I've live streamed some games on my channel, but gameplays of this, there's just so much of me just looking at the screen, going back and forth, and you earn culture, you earn faith, you earn science, you earn money. Once you get into, there are several DLCs. The diplomatic points, I don't believe, are in the early ones. And this is a lot for a person to swallow just jumping in. So the best way to play this game as a beginner is just to suck at it
Yep.
for several playthroughs until you realize, like, faith, to me, I gave no shits about religion for so long until I realized, hey, if you can get religion, it's kind of overpowered in a lot of ways. And also a fallback. If you're able to get the religion, not every civilization can found a religion. Like 2/3 or something have the option to found a religion. So that's something like I'm really looking for up front, because especially as the difficulty climbs, those other computer players are out to get those faith points and profit points and get a religion started.
Yeah, and that's important to get the profit points pretty early. A perfect example is I'm playing as Egypt, and I'm going for primarily a science victory. So I'm working on mostly research, putting up campuses, libraries, everything I can to increase my science per turn, which increases my research, how fast I can learn new technologies, like how fast I can learn how to get archery or things like that. I actually have a clip here of the science and tech trees, so we can just play it here on the side for anyone that's actually watching. I'm not too familiar with actually presenting on StreamYard, so I'm just going to fumble around here for a moment.
Yeah, as you fumble around with StreamYard, you'll find how it goes. One of my clips, I do have settling a city, and yeah, I just sat there for a while, and yeah, this here, I'm going for the science victory as Korea, a very good civilization. But here we see Annie's tech tree, and all the technology she has done currently. Uh, and
They're split up into different eras. The game starts out, well, I guess it depends on when you start out. The game has pretty advanced settings for you to start out. You can just like hit a quick game and it'll pick random settings for you. You'll get a random leader, you'll have random enemies, you might even get a teammate. The quick play option, in my opinion, is a little bit too overwhelming because I don't have enough experience with Civilization. So I always just start at the, I believe it's if I go back here in the clip, it'll show me. But it's split up into eras, and each era has its own technologies. So in the industrial era, you're starting to learn like bronze working, military tactics, being able to make your certain of your military units be officers, which gives them certain perks and extra buffs for the enemies and their other units. Um, there are just so many science and tech trees to go through that provide you with new units, new abilities for the units, and new structures. Basically, everything you can think of, you can slowly progress through with the science and technology tree. That is your primary method for developing any form of new technology.
yeah, you need a lot of science points. You need a lot of uh, culture points. Either way, even if you're not going for a victory on either of those, um, actually, before we get too far away from the tree, each technology has its own inspiration. Things that you can do throughout the game, like build order, is very important. I very often build a slinger second because you have
You're referring to inspirations that give you eurekas, which will give you a
yes.
huge progress boost to your research. For example, if you're trying to learn archery, it might take you 25 turns to research it if you just go straight for archery. But as Dylan mentioned, if you build a slinger and you kill 2 barbarians with your slinger, suddenly you get a inspiration eureka, and you learn like 15 turns worth of uh, research just on archery. So instead of waiting 25 turns, you can kill 2 barbarians and only wait 10 turns because math.
And as you play the game, you know what those inspirations are, such as building an aqueduct, having 2 trebuchets. There's different things that you learn you really want to do in order to get points, less turns to research technology and different civics. And the clip I have here is actually starting the game. This is, I think I ramble on in this clip there is one leader in particular who I will never include in my pool because his special ability is rage quit inducing. So yeah, this is the game I started off with the new leader Sejong for Korea, which is very good for a scientific victory. I often go with Gorgo from Greece if I'm going for a culture victory. That's my favorite one for a culture victory. But yeah, this is what I was setting up for the Sejong, hopefully science victory.
Do I have to play it?
Oh, I do have to play it, don't I?
Through.
We are working through the little technical difficulties, folks. Yeah, this is that was on my end, so a strike on my end for not going ahead and playing that and just staring at each other awkwardly.
All right,
Here
we'll lead
is
right back into that. So here's the clip about Sejong and the leadership.
Civ 6 Leadership Pass playthrough. Sejong on Immortal difficulty.
second
Quick
most
game
difficult.
speed, continents. Into the advanced setup. We have only certain leaders because Saladin's ability to automatically get the last profit is rage quit inducing. So he is never included. Resources abundant.
And I do
Added
like to
one
do
extra city state.
resources that are abundant and game
Monopolies
modes. Do you have the game modes? I think that might be an anthology edition exclusive because there is all types of DLCs, and the game modes once again change the game dramatically.
Yes, I do have some of the game modes, not as many as you can see here on the screen. For the audio listener, there's a bunch of extra game modes such as Barbarian Clans, Dramatic Ages, Heroes and Legends, Monopolies and Corporations, Secret Societies, Zombie Defense, Apocalypse, and Tekken Civil Shuffle mode. I know I have the Tekken Civil Shuffle mode because that's the one I'm most interested in. We were just talking like a whole bit about how you need to build order certain things. You want to make sure you're getting your inspirations and triggering those eurekas for those science boosts for your research. But the tech and civic shovel mode, as far as I know, completely switches up the order in which you or learn technologies, and it changes which the inspiration triggers are for them. So it's basically like a roguelite mode, as far as I know. It just randomly shuffles everything, and you'll never have the same progress tree.
Yeah, that is a way to up the difficulty. I've done that a few times. I keep doing monopolies and corporations mode and secret societies. But another thing with that shuffle mode is you don't know where anything is. Like you saw on Annie's tree, technology tree, they show you where everything is. Except in this shuffle mode, everything is a question mark until you unlock the technology or the civic right before it. And yeah, this is my first dive in to a 4X game. And so many options. The Barbarian Clans mode, I don't do that one often. You can really get overrun with city states because there are barbarians throughout the map that will just come and take your resources. And it's rare that they have it killed my city. Usually it's other civilizations that will come and raise your city or claim it for themselves. I believe once the barbarians actually raise my city. They usually don't raise it, but other civilizations, if they want to declare war on you, they absolutely can steal your city or burn it to the ground, as you can do as well. A war victory. I don't do that one often. That one's I find to be the more difficult one of trying to take
That
over
takes the
the
most
capital.
effort for sure, because the scaling for city armor and siege defenses, and especially if they have trained governments there, it gets so hard to actually lay siege to high level cities. You were mentioning about barbarians though. So when we first started doing our, I guess, research for the game, I started my playthrough as Egypt, and I'm gonna be honest, I lost the game twice before I thought about just starting over as like a new civilization, but I was like, I'm really interested in the perks that Egypt have. I uh I have them right here. My trade routes give me extra gold and extra food. And then this one is the one that I took the most advantage of. 15% production towards wonders if placed next to a river. And floodplains don't block placements of districts and wonders. So, in layman's term, that means I build grand structures 20% faster, rounding up, and I can place them wherever. There's not like a terrain penalty. And that's really good for Egypt because they are really good at building things. So,
Yeah,
one of their.
the
Go ahead.
floodplains are one of the natural disasters that can hit you. The volcano, you do not want to settle exactly next to a volcano. And
Oh, it can half your city if it explodes.
a couple of those modes, the volcano can erupt 2 tiles away. That one is a bit heavy for me. Like getting 1 tile away from the volcano is what I enjoy to do. Having that where the volcano has more of a range,
That's
wow,
scary.
that'll mess you up
If
so
you don't
much.
have builders too, the volcano will erupt, and what in the game you have little tiles like little hexagons, and it will hit one or two far away from it, and it'll damage whatever improvement is on that tile. So if you have a farm, if you have a mine, if you have a district, anything to improve that little cell or that tile will be damaged by the volcano. And if you don't have a squadron of builders on hand at all times, those places can be damaged for 20, 30, 50 turns until you can get around to dealing with it. If you don't have gold to buy a builder, if your cities are crammed up with other productions so you can't get a builder out pretty quickly, or if you're not able to buy them with faith, if you're in a golden age or anything like that. So it can be really devastating to be near a volcano. But there is also benefits. After the volcano explodes and the devastation is over, um, the the volcano will fertilize the tiles, and it'll drastically increase the yields of food and other certain resources. Like if there's a geothermic vent next to it and it erupts, it'll produce more science. So it can be very beneficial to be near a volcano, just like in real life. But you have to worry about it exploding and killing you and everyone you've ever known.
And that's what I was faced with my placing of the city in the Korea run, being right next to a volcano and trying to find. You're looking for, to me, I'm looking for what they call a 2-2 tile, a 2 food and 2 production.
Mhm.
That is what I'm like. I really want at least 1 2 food, 2 production tile, because the 2 food, your
It's really
population
strong
grows
at the
quicker.
beginning.
Your 2 production, that's how quickly you get things done of building different districts or making different units. That depends on the production.
Yeah, everything
And
costs like a point value. For example, a warrior can cost 50 production. So, however much production your city has can cut down how fast it is. If your city produces over 50 production per turn, then you can build a warrior in 1 turn. So, it's just about how much production currency you have to spend on the things that you want to build. Otherwise, you have to build it up over turn or over time and spend it on things, which is where you can get into really long build times.
and
Um,
people just jumping into this game, that's so many things to monitor, along with like there's things you will absolutely neglect coming into this new, being able to keep track of the food, the production, faith, culture, science. And even when we're going for a science victory, like for a while you have to stop building new universities, because civics are very important. When you
right, you need to focus on other things because otherwise you're just gonna have all of the science going towards nothing.
Yeah, when you unlock different government types, there are several different tiers of governments, and you get different policy cards that will impact your game. And those are
Here's an
you want to
example of
get.
some of those policy cards.
Yes, here, which government do you have on
I
this
believe
one?
this is currently a democracy. So you get one red, 2 yellow, and 2 green, and then 1 wild card.
And America, I will point out, one of the perks with America, all of their green cards are wild cards. So that's
So
one
they can be
of.
slotted anywhere?
Yeah,
Oh,
any
wow.
green
Nice.
card, if you're playing as Abraham Lincoln or shit, who's our other leader? We've got 3 leaders of the
Roosevelt.
United States. Roosevelt, 2 personalities of Roosevelt, 1 personality of Lincoln with the latest DLC. That all 3 of them, because each of the leaders and personalities, they some of the things are the same, but one of the special abilities are different with the different leaders of the same culture.
The cards or the policies, which are get essentially just cards that you slot into a deck. Um, they can vary from crazy different things, like just +1 movement whenever you're starting inside of your own borders, or give you extra 5 science whenever you're trading, or cut gold cost in half for this unit, double protection for this type of thing. So the policies can be changed any turn. You can just change them at any time. However, it costs gold, or if you have certain conditions, you can unlock it with faith. Um, but it costs gold to unlock your policies unless you get enough points doing research through civics to unlock it through progression. But if you suddenly realize you need to change up your strategy at any time, you can just bribe your entire people to be like, "Hey, I'm changing the entire government. Here's a subsidy. Everybody's cool with it, right? Okay, cool, good, cool, good, good."
And something I didn't realize, it gives you a warning, and I just clicked right through it. If you leave a government and then come back to it, the citizens will revolt. They will be pissed off. The happiness meter, like all of the production and things will go down because we're going back to democracy. We left democracy, and there's you're different. When you change which type of government you have, it's a different layout of cards and different bonuses as well. So yeah, all types of bonuses. And as I said, players just coming in, this is a lot to take in.
Right, there's so
So
much terminology and, so many things. So many simple things that, can just turn up into bigger things. Going back about, like, 10 minutes now, we talked about not or, worrying about barbarians.
yes.
So, because I was so focused on my science production, on this little screenshot here for the visual person, I'm on turn 63. So, I've been playing for probably an hour, maybe 2 hours at this point, and uh, I had seen a couple of barbarian scouts north of my capital for a little while, but I wasn't worried about it because it was just a couple scouts and they weren't doing anything. And scouts can't really do any damage. They just,
Unless they get
scout.
that exclamation point. That exclamation point means there's more coming.
Yes, exactly. But I didn't really know that or pay attention to it. So I'm focusing on this city south here where you can see my mouse of my capital, and I'm not paying attention to what's going on in my capital. I only have two military units. So the barbarians look at me like I'm just a sitting duck because I fucking am. And
Mhm.
this is
And you don't have
I could have
walls.
continued, but I didn't have walls. I didn't have anything. I had
Yeah, when
one
you build
warrior to fight against 3 enemy warriors and 2 archers and a scout who can melee me if he needs to. But he's probably gonna die, but he can melee me.
when
Uh,
you build the ancient walls, your city center can attack. Currently, any city center cannot attack.
so all these
They have
barbarians are just literally as soon as they get near my city, they can just start beating it up, and my city can't fight back. It can't do anything. I would have to take the warrior out of the city and fight these people. But like I said, I'm outnumbered 5-1. So I only have one more warrior about like 2 turns south of me. So there's no backup here. I just suddenly am overwhelmed by barbarians, and I'm just panicking. Like, what do I do? I only have 100 gold. I have no faith. I don't know where any civilizations are. I don't
oh
have any
no, you
gold
haven't
to
met
levy
another
these city
civilization yet.
states. I'm fucked. I'm pretty sure. So I played a couple more turns, and yeah, the barbarians did take my capital, and I was like, all right, I'm going back to turn 1. I I lost. I lost to barbarians, and this is from me. And well, I'd like to say I'm experienced. I've played like 300 hours of Civilization 5, which is the prequel to this game, but it is so vastly different that I don't really want to get into it because there's so many different mechanics. And 6 kind of streamlines everything, and despite everything being as complicated as we've been talking about, it is so much easier in 6 to manage things. Everything is really simple. Like, you go into the city interface and it seems overwhelming at first because you have all this crap on your screen. You have in the bottom right, you have what you're producing and what you need to do next. Then you have like an alert icon. You've got a gear, heads, coins, scripts, and then you've got all these tiny little icons underneath. Well, it seems overwhelming at first, but they try to make it as easy as possible. You can either manage your citizens directly and tell them which tile to work on. As Dillon mentioned, some tiles have certain values, like 1 food, 1 production, or the coveted 2 food, 2 production. And you can tell your citizen in your city to work on that tile to claim the resources from that tile, which is why you need more citizens in your city. If you have 30 tiles around your city, but you only have 2 citizens, you can only work 2 of your 30 tiles. You can still do stuff with all that and it's still your territory, but you can't really reap a lot of those rewards because you don't have the citizens to you don't have any people. So you want to make sure your people are fed. So the bottom icons here are split up into the currencies, as Dillon mentioned at the very beginning of the show. You have culture, you have food, you have your production, you have science, you have faith, and then you have coin. You can toggle these little dots into three options. You have focus, ignore, or whatever, do whatever. If you can work on it, I guess. And this can be really, really good for not even advanced players, but just people that know what these buttons are. Because if you focus on production by clicking the little focus on production, sometimes you have a lot more production in your city than you realized. And suddenly, a thing that costs 20 turns may cost only 13 because now you told your citizens, hey, focus on production because we don't really need food and we don't have a religion. So why produce faith at all? Which is kind of something I neglected to do. There are great people, and you need a great prophet to start a religion. As Dillon mentioned, the religions can be really, really good. So I
We
had
haven't
built up
mentioned
all of.
the great people yet.
I'm sorry.
That you need great people points to get like prophets, to get great artists, to get more culture. So that's another thing of yeah, the prophet, getting those. And here, this clip is actually a mechanic. You were talking about the population. There are little tribes that are spotted about that can give you these bonuses, and that it can really get you on the right track. You see a tribe, you want to get it, they will become part of your city and bring little bonuses into it. And
And they can be
here,
huge.
yeah, it can be huge. So here I am, bringing a tribe into my culture and seeing what they bring me.
And it gets experience. Fucking
20 XP. That is
20
so
XP.
much at the beginning of the game.
I actually hate experience for your unit. What I want is getting a new citizen, is getting a scout, getting some sort of
Getting
unit.
getting a technology. If you get really lucky at the beginning of the game, you can get really simple technologies. Like you can go to one of these little settlements and they just be like, "Hey, do you know how to make pottery?" And you're like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, well, check this out." And you suddenly know pottery. Instead of doing 5, 6 turns learning pottery, it's just bam, I know it. And it can be such a just sudden power boost because you can get uh, uh, citizens in your city. So if you just get a couple of these tribes nearby and just get 2 of them, suddenly you have 3 people in your city and your city is now triple productive compared to anyone around you. Unless you're playing on harder difficulties because Dylan mentioned the enemies they straight up cheat. I mean,
Mhm. Yeah,
like
more strength, they get more religion,
they
multiple
get free
settlers.
units. Like
Yeah.
they settle a city and it's just like, "Oh, they get a builder with it." It's like, "What? Oh, that's not fair."
Yeah, and you need to you can get a builder with your city, but that takes so many steps, starting with building a government plaza, and I very rarely build a government plaza early. Getting citizens, as you mentioned, more citizens means more people are working more hexagons. I used to focus on production at the beginning. It's
Mhm.
more important to focus on food at the beginning, because then with more citizens happening more quickly, then you can populate that big production tile. The uh, Sorry, I just had a brain fart because there's just so much to talk about with this game. We've hit so many points with the Great Prophet, with the Pantheon. The Pantheon is your pre-religion.
Mhm. You don't
That
need
gives
a
bonus as
prophet to
well.
make a pantheon, right? So you just get that after accruing enough faith points. You will just suddenly inspire your people to kind of believe in a tenet of like, I don't know, something really simple. For example, whenever you found a pantheon, you get a list of buffs. One of the ones I could choose from was Goddess of the River, so anything that I built on the river would be more productive. So initially I went with that before I got killed by the barbarians and restarted my thing. And I went with the monumentality where any wonders I build are more productive. So I kind of
With
focused
Egypt,
on
your rivers are just being overpowered, especially the
yep.
floodplains. You want as many floodplains as you can get with Egypt and that bonus.
Because of the floodplains, one of the first wonders, which we can get into, wonders are essentially unique superstructures that you can put on one or multiple tiles in your cities that provide unique bonuses.
And
If
different wonders are for like different styles. Like if you're going for a culture victory, I want the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower will
it gives
make
you free, if it gives you free communications, like science, doesn't it?
it makes your tiles two more, like every tile goes from disgusting to breathtaking,
Ooh, wow.
and
Okay.
so the Eiffel Tower
It's a lot of tourism.
ups them by 2. And part of the culture victory, if you have national parks, that ups it big time. And you
Mhm.
need charming or breathtaking tiles. So the uh, Eiffel Tower that comes later. I don't really get to wonder building until like the middle or the late. There are definitely a lot of perks. They each different wonder has a different perk, but it takes so much production, and other cultures can go after these wonders too. They can be building them at the same time, and if they finish
Which can be
first,
really bad, yeah,
shit
because
out of
if they
luck.
build them first, there can only be one of them. So, if they are 1 turn faster than you and they get the Eiffel Tower up, you spent 25 turns building your Eiffel Tower, but they spent 24 and beat you to it. Well, now you can't build the Eiffel Tower because it's a unique item, so all of that time is wasted, but you do reclaim all the production. Well, a lot of it. So you can as soon as your wonder gets destroyed because it couldn't be built, you can immediately turn all of that reclaimed production into something. That happened to me. I was building like a quarry or a valley, and Spain built it before me, 1 turn or 2 turns before me. So I immediately just turned it into a university. I turned all of that production. It was like, 1 turn for a university. Fair enough. Um, but the wonders are really good despite the fact that they take long, and they can provide really good perks. One of the first ones I rushed was the Great Bath because I was near a bunch of rivers and floodplains. So if it flooded, it would flood my tiles and possibly damage my improvements. So if I had farms or anything there, I would have to constantly have builders on the patrol, spending their turns repairing things instead of doing things. And if it was a bad enough flood, it could even damage my cities because they're right on the river. So you have the option of building dams or other things way down the line to mitigate that. But
But
since
yeah, it's a
all of my
while.
cities are right on the river, I built what's called the Great Bath. And its perk is it's a built in dam, and any excess river water fills up the Great Bath, giving your people like culture and amenities, which is like happiness for them. So if my rivers flood, it's no longer a bad thing. It is an amazing thing because I just built the Great Bath. So the wonders can be really, really game changing. A
One of my
great one that
favorite.
China can build is the Great Wall.
Oh
So
yeah,
they
and
can.
that's they can build that with a builder. Like that's
Mhm.
separate from the wonders. That is specific to China, the Great Wall. One of my
Okay.
favorites is the terracotta army. If you terracotta army must be built next to a military encampment. So first you got to build the military encampment, and many times that's on not on the top of my list unless I've got a civilization bumping up against me. That military encampment, like the city center, once you have walls, can take a shot at people coming up to it. And is this the Great Bath here that
No, this
you're
is
building?
a Roman Colosseum. I just realized how cool because uh after you build well, backing up. As you build a wonder, you need to clear a tile for it to be starting to construct, and it'll take however many turns it'll take to build it. Each turn that it goes, it will slowly start physically building on the map. So
Yeah,
it'll
you can
start as
see it from
a pile
turn
of
to turn.
rocks,
It's a
and
fun
then
little
2
aspect.
turns later, it will be a small pile of rocks organized, and then 2 turns later, the rocks will start to pile up and build a wall, and then as it just goes, it will just slowly build up. After the wonder is completed, you will get like kind of like a mini cutscene where the light gets all cinematic. You get like a custom camera circling the wonder, and it will do a time lapse of the slow building if you didn't watch it every turn that it was building, and it'll just do like a montage of it building really quickly. So you can just see that here in the clip.
I do enjoy this little process. When I accidentally say
Oh, let me
skip
turn this
this,
down.
when I accidentally say skip this, I'm like, oh
Mhm.
no, it's a fun animation that I just ruined.
I really
by
like that
keeping.
they added the option to replay it here, just in case you were like, "Oh, that was really, really cool." Which is what I had to do to get the clip because I built the Coliseum and I think this is last night, and I was like, "Oh, I don't have any demonstrations of wonders," which is kind of important for my playthrough, so I definitely want a clip of it. Which is great because I really like these mini cutscenes. For the audio listener, too bad you don't get to see it. Like I
Oh, I
said,
got
it's
away
just
from the Terracotta Army. Their bonus is all of your military units get 1 promotion level. Like, the more experience you get, the more battles, the promotion levels.
they start with one promotion.
Um, every one of your units gets a promotion. Like, if whatever level they're on, you
That's
can
really
immediately
strong.
promote them
Yep.
to the next. So if you
Promotions
don't
are really
have
strong.
many military units like Annie had with those barbarians, not worth it for just the 2. But you have 8, a dozen. Those promotions, it gives you more strength against attacks, more strength with attacking, many different
It
options.
can change how fast you move. It can give you certain movement types. For example, infantry can climb mountains, or paratroopers can paratroop in water. There is a lot of really good promotions. One of the best ones is attack twice, or move after you attack, or attack
Yes.
after you
The
move.
the units, like, when you get to the cannon, the trebuchet, siege units, as they call them in
Siege
the
units, yep.
game, they if you move 1 tile, you can't attack.
Yeah, they have to have a in between turns time to set up. If you move, you have to reset up in between your turn and everyone else's turn to your next turn. I guess the
Unless you get that
downtime phase,
promotion. That promotion, that downtime phase doesn't matter if you get that proper promotion.
right? You can
And
just reposition and keep firing.
it's another tree as well. There's so many different technology tree, promotion tree, to figure out what's the best path. And eventually, all your different units, your warriors, which turn into infantry and all that, you unlock core and military. So then they just double up, triple up, and have double, triple the power. So I like to take my military units, do all one side of the tree, all the other side of the tree. So when they link up, we
They're
have
all gaining
all the
bonuses. Yep.
abilities.
That's really smart thinking laterally, honestly.
Yeah, the tortoise bonus for the warriors, which becomes different technology. I never really used to take that one much. That is a bonus where you get more defense against the slingers, the arrows, and I never used to go with that because I was going for strength. But oh no, let's focus on strength over here and defense over here. So when they join up together, they will have strength and defense.
I pulled up this screenshot here. Unfortunately, people can't see it, but it's a one of the tile improvements. It's a improvement to make your people more happy, so your people be more productive in your cities, and they will grow faster. What I love about the attention to detail in this game, just the Wonder Clip was just a small example of it, but the the improvements can be so detailed. Uh, the improvement is essentially a circus or like a fair, and you've got tents laying or tents around it, set up in kind of a four square formation. You've got different tents. You can see that there's balloons down there. There's little fence work. There's a big cart over there in the back, and you can see the trailer hitch on it. And then over in one of the corners of this improvement, there is a full-on jousting arena, and you can see microscopic people in the crowd and slightly bigger than microscopic people riding on even slightly smaller than microscopic horses, and they're jousting. So it's not a clip, but it's a screenshot of just these two little horses just running around jousting in this arena. And there's honestly no point in doing that. This could just be a static piece on a board. And the older civilizations, that's kind of what they were. They were just like pictures and just information on a hexagonal board. But they've gone so far in improving the visual fidelity of this game. It looks great whenever you zoom in this far. The problem is whenever you get to cities or civilizations that are, too big, you start to get kind of laggy and you have to worry about frame rates. So Here's just an example of me like overviewing my empire in one of the last couple turns that I was playing, and you can just see how laggy it is because I'm playing on the Switch.
Yes, I
Like the
too have
frame
the
rate
Switch.
isn't great. It kind
The
of
PC users, they have it much more clear. But yeah, playing on the Switch, having it on the go with that convenience, you are giving up some fidelity as you grow your empire.
my empire is quite large at the moment. I think I have 2, 4, 6, 8, like 12 cities. Um, it was quite a battle in this last playthrough. Focusing here on the screen, I've got a couple of cities. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's an Egyptian word. It's IWNW. Um, whatever that city is. I founded that city because Spain was founded a city pretty close to my city of Nekhen. Um, so they founded the city of Toledo near one of my cities. So I got kind of nervous. So I wanted to found a second city near the city they founded so I could slow their border growth. I could pressure their city. And whenever I'm ready, I could build military units and maybe even fight their city.
And mentioning the happiness of the citizens, being close to another city, you must make sure that those citizens are happy because
Yeah.
that goes both ways. Your city could be close to the enemy city and be like, you know what, we're unhappy here. And you have a countdown of
You'll start
when,
losing loyalty.
yeah, the loyalty countdown. If that gets to zero, first they will just be a rebelled city, and then most likely they will want to join the other civilization because that's who was pulling their loyalty
So
after
you
like
can
10
see in
turns
this
or so.
screenshot here when I'm focusing on IWNW city, it says full loyalty in 39 turns. So this city is the reason I had to go to war. So I got nervous and I founded this city too far away from Nekhen. So I founded it too far away from one of my cities, and I founded it way too close to Greece. So Greece has 3 cities right next to the city that I founded, and it has overwhelming pressure on my city. And my city, as soon as I found it, it's like rebellion, 5 turns. I'm like, wait, hold on. What do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean 5 turns? So I settle a government there, and I start building a monument because the governor will give me loyalty in the city when he's established, and a monument will give me loyalty in the city as well. So it's great um, for keeping loyalty. However, the pressure that they had on me was over 20 a turn, and I could only manage to maintain about 8 to 9 loyalty a turn. So I was losing 11 a turn at least.
Yeah, I actually have a clip of me settling a city. Here you see, I'm trying to get close. I don't want them to get any closer to me. And I was like, okay, what can I do to ensure that this city, starting out with -5 loyalty, will indeed not switch to the other side? I have 2 governors available. One immediately goes to that city, and here I'm thinking of buying a monument, starting on a monument that also continues. But luckily, that governor was enough with those -5 points. Putting a governor there, it is at least even.
It
And you see,
stabilized it.
yes, the monument. I only have 66 gold, so I wasn't able to buy it that turn. But I
Mhm.
think as soon as I could buy a monument, that a monument is 1 loyalty per turn.
Which is
So
huge, honestly.
it and
Especially in the early game, because like I said, I got too greedy. I founded a city, and it, they had 20 pressure on me, and it was literally impossible, and I didn't want to. At this point, I'd already restarted the game
one.
twice, and I didn't want to just keep re-rolling saves back and back, and like cheating time, because at this point I might as well just cheat, right? So I
Save
was like,
scumming, yes. I
I
try
was
to
like,
avoid the save
yeah.
scumming.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my loss. This city is going to rebel. So in this screenshot here, you can see that I have a ton of military units here because I had to constantly lay siege to my own city. As soon as it reached like 0 loyalty and it rebelled, it becomes a free city. which anyone can claim by either exerting loyalty, which Greece is already doing 20 a turn.
Yeah, they don't
or
need to do a thing. That
they don't
city is
need, yeah, Greece is going to
ready
take
to
that
join
city.
Greece.
Yeah, Greece is going to take that city. So the only way I can get my city back is by laying siege to it and sending my military in there and taking it by force.
And that will lose a population as well as you lay
so if
siege
it
to it
gained
and
one, it's going
eventually
to kill.
reclaim.
So this city is completely stagnant, and it's doing me no good. I'm constantly wasting military units guarding the city, waiting for it to rebel, and then fighting the city. And the worst part is the city automatically spawns units that might be stronger than my units. So I have to take the city as fast as possible, because otherwise these units are going to start killing my units, and then Greece is just going to get free city. So
I
I'm
forgot
just
about that.
panicking.
Sometimes the free city that just rebelled somehow has better technology than you do. I
Okay,
think Greece had something to do with it.
straight up, there's spies going on, which is we'll get to. So
Yeah, that is also in the game. That is not just a joke.
yeah, so I'm like every 5 turns, I have to spend 2 turns to siege my own city to take it over for another 5 turns. And that's all I'm doing for, I think, about 60 to 70 turns. I'm just constantly battling the city until I built up enough resources, enough gold, and enough military units to roll up on that city of Toledo, which in the previous screenshots you may have noticed were green and not red. So I set up all my units right next to Toledo, and then my friendship, which is a mechanic. You can set up friendships or alliances with certain civilizations or people around you.
I couldn't the
So my
last
friendship,
turn. No one wanted to be my friend as Sejong. It was so frustrating.
my friendship with him ended, and he's like, "Hey, what are all your people doing in my border?" And I said, "Nothing." And he says, "I don't believe you." And I'm like, "All right, well, war." So I declared war on him, and I just started laying siege to his city. I just started hitting it with trebuchets and cannons. And there are what are called city states, which are a different version of free cities. They're like NPC cities that only have one city and they only do like one thing. There's religious ones, there's
That
science
can
ones.
be very important in the beginning as well.
Exactly. So I'm next
Being
to
the
this
first person to meet a city state, you will get a one
air
envoy
score.
to them, and you will get the bonus, one bonus faith, one bonus culture, whatever that city is. That can change what you're going for if you
And
meet.
this really did change my game, because the city of Cahokia, right here in this screenshot, they are a military city. So they are constantly producing military units. Like every 5 turns, they've got military units popping out of their city. So I saved up about 2,000 gold and I levied their entire military, and which gives me full control of every offensive unit that city has for 30 turns. Either they'll die, or at the end of 30 turns, they'll go back to the city state. So I'm like, okay, these are completely expendable units. Well, not expendable. I spent fucking 1,800 gold on it. But I levied and I just started sieging Toledo. In about 5 turns, I took Toledo because he didn't have any military, because he was currently at war with Greece.
Yes,
I have not had any
coming in on
problems
the
with
back.
Greece.
It's
Yep.
a second war for them.
Yeah,
Ooh, boy.
he's fighting Greece, and while he's fighting Greece, I'm rolling on Toledo because I'm tired of the pressure from Toledo being just enough to take my IWNW city. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to war with you. This city, I told you not to found it, and you did it anyway. You generated grievances with me at the beginning because we were allies, and I asked you, please don't found any cities near me, and you did it anyway. So here I am, 170 turns later, I'm going to kill this city. So I did. I rolled up on the city and I destroyed the city. And I took the city in, like I said, 2 turns. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, that was easy. I took the city, and now IWNW is stable, and I don't have to worry about it losing loyalty. I'm great. So the next turn rolls around. So I talk to Spain and I say, hey, you want to do peace? Apparently, you can't do that. The game has a war and peace mechanic. Obviously, it has a mechanic for everything. For example, when you go to war, you are at war with them for 10 turns, no matter
Yes,
what.
at minimum, and I think that's on all game speeds.
Yep. No matter what, you are
Really,
at war for 10 turns. There is nothing you can do. You can choose not to attack each other, but you are at war. So I took this opportunity and I just said, fuck it, I'm just gonna roll on this other city. So I took all of my units from Toledo to the city next to Toledo, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna take 2 cities during this war. I'm sorry, it's too easy.
I wanted to claim peace. You weren't having it.
Yeah,
Well, the
I
game wasn't
tried.
having it.
I tried.
Even
The
if
video
you
game
wanted
said
to have
no.
it.
The video game chose war. Well, I mean, I chose war, and then it forced me to continue the war.
And even if you don't, if you have that minimum wartime that you're like, shit, I kind of want peace, you can still go and pillage their shit. Going and putting one of your military units on a university and pillaging it gives you a bunch of science points, culture points for a theater, religious points, money for some of the tiles.
Yep. So after taking these 2 cities, I was really close to one of his other cities, and I decided to not roll on it because I didn't want at this if I kept going, I'd already been denounced by 2 civilizations that were right next to me. So 2 other people don't like me now because I fought Spain and I kicked their ass. So they're like, "Hey, you're kind of a jerk." And I said, on paper, you're right, but I had my reasons, so whatever. I'll let bygones be bygones, and I'll move on. But I was about to just like let it be, and then he started sending military units right towards my capital, and I'm like, come on, man. So I just split all of the units that I had there sieging his 2 towns, and I sent 1 unit to every city I had just to like garrison them, which can give your city different bonuses like loyalty or happiness or different bonuses if you have a military unit in your city, which can be very beneficial because it also allows your city to attack twice if you have a range unit. So I'm sitting there, I'm defending my capital, and finally the 10 turns rolls around, and I negotiate peace. I trade with him, and I say, "Hey, I'd like to negotiate peace, please." And we've kind of been avoiding it this entire time, but whenever you interact with NPCs, well, first of all, it's really cool because this game, it's fully animated and they have full voice acting for whatever country or language they are, at least for like a couple phrases. They don't say everything they say, like they don't say every single word, but that whenever they first greet you, they'll be like, "Hey, I'm from America. Come look at my America grapes." And they'll
Lincoln
let you
says something about going to the theater to you.
yeah. So that's really nice. And I open the dialogue, and if you are looking at this, you can see that the 2 options that I have for whatever he's telling me, he says, "Your people settle too close. You should consider seeking land elsewhere." That's when I settled my IWNW city in defense of him settling his city. It's funny that he got mad, even though he is the one that broke the promise. But either way, so he normally this would say 2 different options. It would either be, "Okay, I'm sorry. I will try to avoid settling cities near you," in which you will agree for 30 turns to not settle a city near them, or you will make them angry, which is exactly what he did to me. So I said, "Okay, sure." And the other option is go fuck yourself, which can make them angry, or if they are angry enough, it can initiate war. However, in the last at the beginning of this month, I believe it was September 10th, the newest update for Civilization 6 came out on Switch, which is where Dillon and I play it.
And it fixed some things, but
It
in the
fixed a bunch
dialogue
of things,
boxes,
added new
you see
content,
some new
and
mistakes.
which is funny because this not new content for PC and every other console. This update had already been out for 9, 10, maybe 11 months at that point.
And I was happy to get it at all. Like
Yeah,
they
me
said,
too. I
this
didn't
isn't
expect to
coming
get
to
it. Yeah.
console.
It's coming to
Don't
Switch.
worry.
Nobody cares about Switch.
But they brought it to Switch. Sometime in early September, and I was like, I can't wait to play it. And they actually fixed some of the text bugs in the technology tree, where it said you got to build 2 cannons to get this bonus when it's actually 2 trebuchets. So I'm happy
Right, yeah,
they fixed that.
they fixed a couple of text errors, but then they completely broke everything. Whenever we first started talking, you're like, "Oh, the new update, it messed some things up." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, then I maybe just won't buy the new update, because then I don't have to worry about experiencing crashes," which you had mentioned. But as soon as I started the game, like not even 20 turns in, something had flooded, and I get this message that pops up. LOC underscore UI underscore feature underscore natural underscore disaster underscore discovery. Well, because I'm a nerd, I'm assuming that is a directory for some sort of text, and it's supposed to say, "Hey, this thing happened." I assume because the bottom text says it is a mega colossal eruption, it is letting me know that I discovered that volcanoes can explode. Okay, problem is it's completely fucking broken, and it's just a bunch of underscores, and it's
Yeah,
the
to
big
new
text
people,
string.
to people on Switch who are brand new to Civ 6, you cannot play this game with
This
the
doesn't
most
tell
recent
you.
update.
It
Do not
doesn't
get
tell
the
you
leadership
anything.
pass.
Whenever Spain was mad at me, my option was lock Diplo warning don't settle near me choice positive, or lock Diplo warning don't settle near me choice negative. I
So,
don't
and
know
at
what choice
least
positive or choice negative means, but I was like, he's asking me not to do something, I choose positive?
yeah, you can kind of decipher. Okay, I remember what this text was before. Okay, so the positive, that's the, or the negative, that's the fuck off. I'm gonna do what I want, which I often do with religion when I'm going for a religious victory, and they're like, "Do not settle near my, do not settle, do not convert my cities." I got an army of missionaries and apostles coming your way. Gonna give that negative because I'm gonna get it anyways. I'm gonna keep
Right.
doing it. So
I'm gonna take your city a different way, so
let me just let me just get that one negative rather than over and over and over again negatives because I promised with no intention of following
yeah, I'm
through.
not trying to generate grievances, because if I generate grievances, it's essentially like negative karma. And that karma lasts a long time, and it will, in a game with players, it doesn't matter, but with computers, they will very, very harshly judge you on how many grievance points you have. If you have 50, 100, 150, which I had for declaring war on Spain, uh, everyone is constantly just like, you're fucking, you suck. I hate you. I will kill you if I get the chance. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, geez, here's 100 gold. Please stop. Leave me alone. I keep trying to
And that's
bribe these people,
important.
and it's not working. I mean, it's slowly like lowering their hatred of me, but I think I'm gonna have to give Greece 2,000 gold if I want him to chill the hell out. He
Yeah,
won't even
that's
accept gifts. I can't give him gifts.
yeah,
He only
giving
accepts gold.
these gifts will eventually get them to go neutral and hopefully like you eventually. And the trading mechanics are very important. Like cities that are just a little angry at you will still trade with you, so you can get, maybe you don't have any iron in your capital, and that's one of the reasons I put on abundant resources. Oh
Oh,
my
I always do
God, I'm
that too.
so pissed when I don't have horses or I don't have niter.
Yeah, and
But
then you have to
going
just
the other way
constantly barter
around,
with people.
yeah, going the other way around, if I have those, if I need more money, I'm constantly just like, all right, I've got extra horses. Who needs horses? Give me money.
Exactly. I had to barter at going back to finish the story. After I finally brokered peace with Spain, I had to open up a trade offer. And we will get to this in just a moment, but you have to be careful in the trades, because there is a 100% scripted crash in there. If you do a certain thing in there, it's going to crash your game. So I open up peace with him, and I say, I tiptoe around the option not to crash my game. And I'm like, okay, make a deal, broker peace. And I click peace, and I say, what are you going to offer me for peace? And he says, okay, you can keep the 2 cities you took. I'm like, damn right I can.
Fuck yeah.
And I'll also give you peace for 10 turns, which is the opposite of war. Once we agree on peace for 10 turns, it is impossible for me to go to combat with him. Even if every ally I have is going to war with him and they all require me to go to war with him, I'm made peace with him. I cannot fight him for 10 turns. So I say, what are you gonna give me? And he says, keep the 2 cities, peace, obviously, so we won't shoot each other. And also I'll give you like 10 gold. I'm like, that's not enough. How about give me a copy of every single one of your resources and one of your paintings? And he's like, oh, what? And I said, okay, I'll give you 8 gold a turn. And he's like, okay, so 8 gold a turn, and you're not gonna kill me, and I have to give you one of everything I own. I guess that's a fair deal. I'm like, okay, yeah, because otherwise I'm going to take another one of your cities. He's like,
I'm gonna
"Okay,
keep
fair."
going. Yeah, I
So
actually came up with a crash compilation. What what's your finish? We both experienced crashes. This is just 30 seconds of crashing. Yeah, whenever you go into this screen, like I make sure I have a save state if I know that I'm going to try to be trading because
yeah, I always quick save or like a hard save right before then because booting up the game isn't hard, but losing turns is, especially as you get longer, it
so
can be,
frustrating.
oh, I just lost 20 minutes of gameplay because I
Even if
just
it's 2 turns, sometimes
yep,
2 turns takes you 20 minutes,
yep,
and
yep.
I believe this is 5 or 6 times of me ooh, don't do it. Crash mode. Crash.
Yeah, it's if you
No
go
one
to
will
the
be my
option on the
friend.
screen that says if you back up just a little bit so we can see what's on the screen.
Backing up just a moment.
I believe it's another one of the broken text things. It's loc diplo choice denounce generate, and it starts. It's so long that it starts dotting. But because I know what that option is, it is denounce generate. I believe 50 grievances because it is the option for you to go to a civilization and be like, "Hey, I don't like that guy." Just like everyone's doing to me, I can be like, "Hey, this guy sucks, and everyone should know it." I mean, you might not trust me, but that guy sucks.
And
Problem
that can
is,
be the first step into declaring war,
right,
denouncing
without
them.
you have to denounce them without, and then you can go to war like formally without like surprising them or being a
Oh yes,
jerk. And
surprise war. Everyone will be
150
angry at you.
grievances. Yep, that's
There
what I did.
are different types of war you can declare on people, territorial expansion, and several others where it's more like, all right, they're kind of justified, and maybe the entire world won't hate you. Whereas a surprise war, the entire world may hate you for quite a while, and crash.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
just have to
it's
tiptoe around this
No
option.
one will be my
In
friend.
the clip, you can just see him anytime he goes up or down into the denounce option. It is an instant. Software was closed because an unknown or because an error occurred. It's just the second it, it's not, you don't even see it on the screen. The second you input the button to go onto that option, it
Yeah, just
instantly
hovering over
crashes
it.
you right to your dashboard or whatever the Switch home page is called. The home page.
Yeah, just hovering over that a certain selection can crash. And I think this was a backdoor save scum where something happened. Let's hear my reaction.
Crash.
Maybe the next one, because I don't like to save scum.
Oh no, there was a crash.
That was the one where something terrible happened, and that was my backdoor save scum without save scumming. Of
Oh, you
let me
just
try
triggered a
to
crash and went
trade.
back one turn.
Yeah,
Yep. Or two. I mean, there's the option for auto saves, just like a lot of games.
I do that every 2.
Yeah, I think that is the quickest option you can do. I wish you could do it every turn, but every other turn isn't that bad because it's only 2 turns. Like it's not that big of a deal. You always start at the beginning of your turn too. So like the turn will never start as somebody else is doing something or whatever. The second the game loads up, it's your turn on whatever number. And because it's every 2 turns, it's an even number. So it'll be 272, 274, whatever number.
I think I remember the reason for that save scum. I was at war, and they had stolen a settler of mine. Actually, I stole the settler from a barbarian clan. Sometimes barbarians have settlers, and you can kidnap them and settle with them. And when you're at war, the other civilization can take any unit of yours that is not a military unit, your builder,
Yeah.
your settler. So I didn't produce the settler, but I had a purpose for it, and they took it. And then the previous turn, I was like, all right, I'm picking up this on the next turn. Oh, peace. Sure. Let's make peace. Shit. No, they're going to keep that settler. I can't take him back now. Shit. Oh no.
And then
No,
you
I can
accidentally
take that
crashed, and then
settler back.
immediately, yeah, I could just see in the face in the clip. You're just like, oh no, that benefited me a lot. But this clip right here is not really relevant, but it is just another example of how broken the text is now because of the last update. There's a mechanic called Congress, which we haven't touched on. Every like 40 turns, every civilization will get together to vote on certain things. For
And it's
example,
indistinguishable in the new update. You don't know what
yeah,
the fuck is going on.
some of them are really simple, like double production for this type of military unit, or half production for this type of military unit, and you can vote on it using your diplomatic points, which you can earn or trade off of other people, or you can earn it through a bunch of wonders or different structures and districts. There's a lot of different ways to get diplomatic points, which
And the more
is one of the
people who are
victory.
pissed at you, the less diplomatic points you get. I believe I've gotten into negative diplomatic points because the entire world hated me.
Everybody's just like, you don't get a say. You don't get to vote here. It's like, but I'm here. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. We're all gonna ignore your vote though. You can put the vote in, but it doesn't fucking matter because you get one free vote. But the more diplomatic points you have, the more you can stack your votes. As soon as I went to war with Spain, he called an emergency Congress meeting to get aid from the world to kind of help him with his war against me. Some of the conditions were like -1 movement speed to military units, minus 20% production for this type of military unit. It was a bunch of negatives, and he voted yes, obviously, because he's the one who called the meeting, and he had one ally who voted yes for the meeting. And like I said, you can use your diplomatic points to multiple vote. So I had a couple hundred diplomatic points, and I thumbed down the vote for everyone to hate me. I was just like, 9 votes against me, or 9 votes for against me. And his ally and him only voted 1, and his ally voted twice. So he got 3 votes to my 9. I'm like, nope, no penalties for me. This is a nice, fair, honest war. I'm going to roll on your 2 cities, and it's going to be mine. But like Dillon said, just to look at this clip, the Congress is completely illegible. Every one of these options is a broken text string. Some of them so big that they're even colliding into each other right here, where you can see me voting up on this option. It's just literally broken text string colliding into broken text string into a third broken text string. It's completely illegible. If I hadn't already known what the World Congress was, I would have had to message Dillon and be like, hey, what the fuck is this? How do I do this? What the hell?
And
I would
I
have to
would've
look up
done
on
my
YouTube
best
or something.
to help
I
you
would have had to
decipher
figure
it.
out. I would have to get a translator for this shit. But luckily, like I said, I'm a big nerd and I can kind of read text strings. But literally everything is broken in here. Every single text piece.
So thank you for fixing some of those text glitches. And oops, hope you guys have one more patch for the Switch, because you made some whoopsies all over the place with being just absolute. A new player is gonna have to come on PC. Come on PC, because the consoles are just the text.
It's broken.
You're fucked. If people just coming into it, as much as I want to say buy the Switch version, I was hoping this was only with the leadership pass.
No, well, I don't own the leadership pass, and my game is still broken, just like this. I don't have the new leaders. I don't have the new content. I don't have the new mechanics, but I do have all the new text errors. So,
damn, I was
here's a
hoping
great
that was
example because
exclusive.
like I mentioned a couple times, all of my shit has been focused on building wonders up, so I could have more like unique perks and things because I have so much production in some of my cities. So I went to go build this thing because it was available to me and it only cost 35 turns to build, which was just isn't that much because I have a lot of cities, so I can spare one city for 40 turns. Here's the description. Petra. Wonder. Location. Building. Petra. Description.
You don't even know where you can build it. And yeah, because I'm a nerd, I know that in a desert heavy city, you want Petra. That makes desert tiles. Desert tiles are worth fucking nothing. But
unless
Petra,
you have a certain civilization or a Petra,
yes. Some civilizations, like Canada, is the opposite with tundra tiles. Tundra tiles fucking suck unless you're Canada. Canada has tundra tiles.
They can actually farm on tundra tiles and turn them from 1 food or 0 food into 3, 4, 6, depending on how many food, because you can get like food adjacent bonuses depending on you have farms or food markets or whatever. So you can get a lot of food production on a tundra only for Canada. Funny enough, my first playthrough in Civ 6 was Canada, and I got such a good start that I wasn't near any tundra tiles, and I didn't get to utilize my passive until like 300 turns into the game when I started settling on other continents that nobody else could settle on, or areas, because it was all tundra. And they're like, well, there's no resources here for me. I'm like, well, there is for me, because I could build farms here and hockey rinks.
Take off, eh? Hockey rinks, that's part of the entertainment complex, right?
No, it's a standalone improvement.
Standalone by the builder. That's right.
Yeah, it's a builder improvement. For example, when I'm playing as Egypt, one of them is a Sphinx, which gives me 2 culture and 1 religion, and keeps whatever improvement is on the tile. So it's just a flat out improvement if I don't know what else to put there.
And that
it's
can
really
be very
good.
important up front. Getting culture up front, it's just such a snail's pace. I didn't used to build a monument, but that brings in 1 loyalty and 1 culture, and now that'll often be within my first 3 builds of slinger and a monument. I like to try to get the Pantheon with the builder, the Pantheon where a builder will just arrive in your capital. The one you really want is the Pantheon that gives you a settler, but the
really good
computer will always take that first.
Because they want their bonus cities, because they can instantly start producing more things, and especially on the higher difficulties, that city is instantly going to have like 2 citizens or whatever cheats they get.
Another reason why you hope to find a religious city state. They will give you that extra boost of faith that no one else is getting, so you can found that Pantheon that really makes so much difference to you. But if the settler is available, it's like, oh, no one else has got this, and settling cities is just so important. You get so much more done with more cities. But going back to the loyalty and keeping your citizens happy, the more cities you have, you got to have that entertainment district, and you've got to place it very
Otherwise,
strategically.
Your citizens will flat out stop producing things. If they're not happy, doesn't matter how much production you have, doesn't matter how much food you have, everyone in your city, you can have 13 population. If they're not happy, they're going to be like, so that thing you want, if we can get it done in, I don't know, 380 turns, is that cool to you?
It's usually 5 turns. It's going to be 300 plus turns because we're pissed.
We're all on
building
break.
that entertainment district. 6 tiles, I believe, is what the spread of more loyalty will be. Amenities, that's what it is.
Amenities, yeah. Amenities is
more amenities.
Citizen happiness.
And the industrial district is another one that works the same way. Build it within 6 blocks of as many cities as you can, because you build an industrial district.
Yeah, it has like adjacency bonuses too. The more factories that are together, you can build like an industrial. They don't link together like military units or things like that. But if you have, for example, in right next to my city of Memphis, I have a mountain, and on the mountain, I have a wonder that produces science, and the mountain produces science. And then all around the base of the mountain, because of how my cities are spread up, I have 3 universities on that mountain. So each of those universities are giving themselves bonuses. Plus, I have some of those wild cards slotted into my policies to give me 50% extra adjacency bonuses for my science. So I'm gaining more science than I know what to do with most of the time. Like I mentioned way back at the beginning, I'm in the modern era, and I'm getting technology from the informational era. So I'm 3 generations ahead of technology, but I can't really utilize it yet. I just know a lot of
modern
stuff.
is atomic, and you're way ahead. You're in good position for this science victory. And I have not completed my Sejong game yet, but I am just about to get the spaceport. So it's like Monopoly. Not only in every person takes their turn, but the game evolves. First, you're picking up properties in Monopoly, and then you are going against your players. Like, just getting to the point. Now, here, many hundreds of turns in. I do a quicker game mode. I believe I'm about 130, 150 turns in of a 330 turn game. And just now, I am getting to the spaceport, and it's going to take another 100 turns or so until I can actually win with a science victory. So the game evolves as you go on. You need to get those minimums of keeping your citizens happy, because you can have a spaceport, but if you don't have an entertainment district close enough with amenities,
Nobody's
they're
going to
not
work
going
at
to
that.
finish building it.
They're not going to work there either. They're not going to do anything once you get a project going, because you have to then stop your city from building anything to build certain projects. Like one of the requirements, which I pulled up here, some of the win requirements. You have the diplomatic victory, which you can earn by winning Congress votes. So anytime that you vote in Congress on something that gets passed, you earn a diplomacy point. I used to know, and it used to tell you here until the game broke. My first victory was a diplomatic victory by earning enough Congress points to just win through that. Problem is, I don't know how many I need to win, and without. Fortunately, the minus button on the Switch is like a enhanced. I don't know. It's like when you right click on something in the PC and it pulls up like a little
It's
box.
kind of like a right click. It is.
Yeah.
Get a little more information, please.
Yeah, so if I hit the little plus button on one of these things, it'll tell me how many points I have from what, and then I can do the math to figure out how many points I have total. I don't know. I think you need 20 to win, and right now I have 10. So you can see who's leading, or you normally would, but the text is broken here too. Surprise, surprise. It's Congress related, so it's broken. But then there's the science victory, which I am currently leading, and you can see the civilizations that you have met that are closest to you. And on the detailed version of the page, which it will show next, you can see which steps have been completed. So after you build your spaceport, the first step to a science victory, well, I guess that's the precursor step, but the actual first step one is to launch a satellite. You have to launch a satellite off of the Earth into space. You can do that after you build your spaceport. Then you have to focus your city on what's called a project. It's I don't know. It's like when your city just focuses. It's a project. So
the
you're
city
not building
project,
something. You're focusing production on something.
The first city project I often do after I build a church. I will do holy site prayers, because I want that fucking profit. That's usually the first one I do. Most city projects, once you build a district, will be like for university, you get more science points, more great writer points. As I said, for faith, that great profit. I missed out just a few turns with Sejong on getting a profit, and I'm still pissed about it 150 turns later.
I know what you mean. If you look at this screenshot here and the people watching, I currently have 4,305 faith points, and I am gaining 83 faith a turn. The problem is I'm kind of inexperienced when it comes to great people, and I'm more familiar with 5. So I didn't know that you had to have a great prophet to start a religion. So I'm currently in the modern era, and I go get a great prophet, and it says there's no great prophets. Everybody, all the great prophets in the entire
They've been
universe
gone
are
since
gone.
the ancient era. What are you talking about?
There's no prophets left. What are you talking about? I'm like, wait, how am I supposed to found a religion then? I can't. I currently have little to no use for the 4,000 faith I'm sitting on, unless I get into a golden age and I get one of the dedications, which we'll touch on in a minute, to get being able to buy builders or settlers with faith. My faith is just going to be completely wasted because I did not do a good enough job at the beginning, or I don't know, 120 turns ago, figuring out, am I going to found a religion? Do I want to care about it? Because I did, because there's so many good perks from being having a religion, and it's one of the ways I can either win or stop other people from winning. Going back to the win conditions, one of them is religion, and what do you have to do to win religion is convert every civ on the planet that still has their capital. So I started with 12, and in the first 100 turns, this lady, I don't know what country this is, she killed one of the civilizations on the planet, and now there's only 11 people to convert. So this unmet player is converted 4 total civilizations to Islam. that can be really difficult because there are so many people. There's so many because the computers focus on religion, as Dillon has said. There is so much battling. In my own capital right now, there is currently Taoism,
religious war.
Zoroastrianism, Catholic. Oh, sorry about that.
Alexa, we didn't call you.
Right. Anyway, I'm literally 3 different civilizations are in my capital with their missionaries, just killing each other, having a holy war in my territory, and I'm just like, I have no religion. We
You do
really
pick
like
up their
rivers.
bonuses. Like if you note, if you take note to what the each religion's bonus is, you can figure out. Oh, they have the bonuses I actually want in that religion. Let me actually start getting into this religion stuff so I can get those bonuses to help my because you can get more science, more all types of things, more culture depending on where they chose to take their religion. And you can make any religion you want. I also
Yeah, there's like
choose
pre-made
bullshit
ones.
and do Satanism, or they've got a peacock. I call that one network television. The Lionhead, I'll do cannibalism, and that's the 3 main ones. And yeah, you can choose Judaism, Christianity, Protestantism, but I'm a bigger fan of cannibalism.
Yeah, because there's whenever you found your religion, you get like depending on how many expansion packs you have, we'll just say you get 10 to 30 religious icons. You get the really simple ones, you get the yin yang, you get the cross, you get the Jewish star, you get the pentagram, all these basic symbols. And then there's just random ones like a star, just like a waves. So you can pick your own symbol, and then you can either pick a pre-made religion name, or you can just make one up. You can just name it like you said, network television religion.
That one really gave me a tickle. I'm like, what could this peacock be? Oh, it's network television. People worship network television. That's what my religion will be.
The different victories are something you have to. I mean, unless you are a new player and you're just playing to play and just learn about the things from literally before turn 1, you need to decide what victory you're going to go for, because your entire game is going to structure around that. If you're going for religion, you need to make sure you get the great prophet as fast as possible. You need to make sure you start converting, finding out where their capitals are. And then because their capital, if you convert that first, it'll put more pressure on their additional cities, and any settler that is trained at that city will innately be influenced by that religion. So you can have their city spreading your religion if you get it in early enough. So you have to decide literally before you start the game, am I going to do religion? No. And that's that I didn't decide. And that's why I shot myself in the foot 200 turns later, and there's no profits for me to recruit when I wanted a religion. Well, whatever. Then there's the culture victory, which we haven't really discussed. Culture is a really interesting mechanic in the game. It's so nuanced. It's very passive in every single thing it does. Going all the way back to the city interface with all those little dots, so you could select with the 3 settings. If you select the one for culture, the buff that the culture does for your city is increase your border growth. So how big your city actually is covering different tiles, and border growth can be invaluable. That is why I risked the IWNW city and 70 turns of civil war with myself, because I didn't want Toledo making a border that I couldn't cross with my own cities, because I didn't want his city cutting off my territory. Because once a border is formed, I mean, unless I'm mistaken, there is no way in the game to remove that border from where it is expanded. You have to take that city and own it.
Culture bombs are the only thing. There's very, very few ways, like the diplomatic Congress.
Is that like giving them negative culture?
Culture bombs, when you build a new district, it will culture bomb all the tiles around it. So like if no one owns all the tiles around your new district, whichever one it may be, then all those are yours. And I guess I didn't realize this until my Sejong playthrough. I built a military encampment right on the edge of my civilization, bumping up against the next one. And next thing I notice, I've got some of their territory. So that culture bomb converted them. What's the shit? I can't remember all the district names. There's so many. But
Yeah, there's the government, industrial, the commerce, the entertainment. Yeah,
there's one of them that will culture bomb unclaimed tiles, but will not claim other territories. But yeah, in the diplomatic congress, try to look through those fucking text hieroglyphics that they gave us. Culture bombs, you want to give your culture, because that will take.
Good to know. I will look into that.
Yeah, it'll take hexagons from the next culture over if you're building any district right there. Any touching one, once it's done, bam, grabs them.
I know I said I wouldn't touch much on it, but in Civ 5, you could take enemies' tiles by 2 easy ways. You could settle a city because it gives you all of the hexagons right around the tile that you settled. And a great general can put like a castle down, and it'll do the same thing, and it'll give you like the hexagons around wherever you formed it. And the great general can be placed 1 tile outside of your border. So using great generals and settlers, you can very, very aggressively and tactically take enemies' borders by putting great generals right smack dab outside of your border. It'll take the tile that you placed it and 1 tile in front of it. So you can like actually attack their tiles with your tiles.
Yeah,
totally something you can't really do in Civ 6. It's
you can only attack their city. It's all or nothing of claiming their city.
Yeah, whenever I first started as Canada, I placed a great general expecting it to do that. I placed it right outside my border, and I founded the castle, and that's all it did. It just put a castle there. It didn't give me border. It didn't push their border back. I'm like, what? Oh, no. I relied on my past knowledge. My hubris.
I knew 5. Damn you, 6.
But getting back to the culture victory, it's very nuanced because you win through tourism. You win by being the most popular and the most interesting civilization. A great, super easy way to get tourism is wonders and great works of art, which you can get from great musicians, great writers, and I think there's one more. But
musicians, writers, and yeah, there is one more. We'll remember it eventually.
I should have pulled a clip of the great people, but it's okay.
Painters, artists, great artist.
Yeah. So those are the 3 people, and you can use them to put in like museums and stuff like that. Whenever I finally resolved the war with Spain, I did take one of his pieces of art, which gave me 3 culture return and 3 tourism. I don't personally understand how the tourism works because the detail in the actual game isn't that in depth, despite the fact that the game has a in-game, it's called a Civilopedia, where you can get a lot of information about the game and the details about or the item or unit and a lot of details about it, such as what it builds into, what it requires, lore about it. Like if it's Stonehenge, it'll give you real life information about Stonehenge. It'll tell you like what we know about it as a society. And then it'll tell you on the side the game stuff about it, like what it builds into, what it requires. And that can be really beneficial. But the culture menu here, especially with the now semi-broken text, is not very, to me, cohesive to tell me what I need to do.
There are a lot of different things you can do to get the culture victory. I mentioned the Eiffel Tower earlier, and that beautifying all of your tiles in your entire civilization. Some of the late game units, and you actually purchase them with faith. A naturalist can found a national park, and that brings up your tourism so much. Rock bands are also
rock
fun.
Bands. Yeah, they're like culture bombs.
That's focused towards one specific culture. If there's someone that you're really trying to go over, you're sending your rock band over to their territory to perform a concert. Whereas the
to try to take their tourism.
The national park isn't focused towards one culture. It is focused towards everyone, just upping your points of tourism. Whereas, you've got a sniper with your rock band to get the tourism up.
I believe one of the governors, it's max perk because the governors have their own like skill trees. I believe the max
Another
perk
skill
on one of
tree.
them.
So many skill trees. I
I
love
think
me
one
some
of
skill
them they
trees.
can found a city park or a national park or one of them. The government can do that as well as other like through your civics and stuff.
And I know Canada. I haven't played as often. They have a mechanic that helps with building national parks. So that is also a good culture to go for a culture victory. As I mentioned, Greece. I really like Greece for my culture victories, especially Gorgo. There are two different leaders to choose from to get Greece, and I prefer Gorgo's perks over. Shit, I can't even remember the other one. But you can let's see what else with the culture victory. I think that's all we need to hit with the culture victory. The diplomatic victory, I think I've gotten the least because it's just the most boring to go after. I find
The
I find it
diplomatic one.
fun. Yeah.
It also takes the longest because you can only earn diplomatic points through Congress, and Congress only meets every 40 turns. I didn't see anything in here for what you were talking
The
about.
Mountie. It's the Mountie that has that
Oh, okay.
special. It doesn't give all the details of what the Mountie can do, but
Right. See, it's not enough detail here. Like you could probably find it in the Civilopedia or go on the fandom, which I've mentioned this a couple times. I'm really I love fandom and I love, how like the community putting all the information on like a wiki for you to like just go check it out. I really think that the developers should just put the shit in their own game. That there should be a full codex. Like that Mountie should tell me exactly how much production it costs. There should be maybe an option in the game settings for advanced tooltips, but there is no reason the ice hockey rink shouldn't tell me what it gives me. It tells me up there in the last best west. It tells me it gives me production on this, food on this, resource percentages here. But hockey rink, it literally just says unique improvement. It doesn't tell you anything, and I really hate the lack of information in those areas. It's just like a personal gripe.
With as much information as they do provide, it's understandable something like that slipped through the cracks. You find that, I believe, on the select screen. The opening select screen definitely has that. But yeah, that's frustrating that it's not everywhere telling you what those units do.
But that's the last victory option is just the domination, where you just have to take every civilization's capital, unless you have the option for total victory. In normal just rule set, if you take an enemy's capital and they don't have any way to retake the capital, then you basically wipe out that civilization. As far as I know, that's how it worked in 5. I've not done a
Their
military
capital
victory here.
changes. You take out their capital, and then another city will become their capital.
Oh, so you have to take
they-
all of their cities?
just their capital. But it oftentimes means that you must take multiple of their cities, because if their capital is in the middle of their civilization, then to keep that loyalty long enough to do it to every single civilization, you will need to taking the capital doesn't kill the civilization, but yeah, you can keep going and taking every single one of their cities, and then the civilization is wiped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, and then the advanced option is you have to also kill all of their units. You can take all of their cities and win with just default rules, but the advanced option is if they have an archer on the other side of the planet hiding, their civilization still technically exists, even though the archer can't found another city, it can't do anything. It can't. I mean, I guess technically it could go attack another city and then make enough gold to buy a melee unit and then like levy somebody's military. In theory, with one unit, you could come back, especially if it's a melee unit, because melee units can actually take cities. Range units can avoid taking damage from the city, but they can't actually walk into the city and say, this city is mine now, which is a trade-off for the strength of ranged units.
The ranged units, starting with the slinger, only having the one next hexagon, and then getting 2 range. That's
3
big, having that
range.
2 range. Oh yeah, and
The sniper, the marksman, I mean, with the 3 range.
Yeah,
And then
3
there's
ranges
a,
there.
I think it's called a weather balloon. I think it's a newer unit. You can attach it to like a regiment, and it'll give everyone that's within like adjacency to it +1 range. So with the marksman, you can get +4 range, and you can just literally just snipe people.
I like the we talked a little bit about the different game modes. Getting the vampires, the Sanguine Pact. I need the vampires if I'm going for a domination victory and trying to take other cities. The vampires are a very overpowered military unit, and
Geez, we could get into another whole hour with the bonus game modes. I mean, that there's
yeah,
still
we could
so much
just
we haven't
never
really
end.
discussed on this. Before we wrap, let's just talk about a couple of the victories we've had in the past. Going as back as far as I can remember in my civilization days, my first victory was as the Ottoman Empire. And I had no idea what I was doing, so I went for a military victory because I didn't know how to win as science. I didn't know how to win any of these other conditions. I didn't know what I needed to do, but I knew I could build nuclear bombs. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna go to war. I'm just gonna build up aircraft carriers. I'm gonna build up submarines. I'm gonna build up a nuclear arsenal, and I'm just gonna blow up everybody's capital and make them surrender to me.
Eventually, you get the death robot too. In
The mega death
Gathering
robots,
Storm,
yeah.
the death robot in the futuristic era. I know that's not in the base game, but oh my god, those death robots that are just
They're
as
so
tall as
cool.
mountains. My first victory, culture, as I mentioned, Gorgo, I really liked playing with, and I kind of just stumbled into it. But by just have theater districts are very cheap to make with Greece, so I just loaded up on those, and you stock them with great works of art, and you get all themed buildings of having different artists that have religious paintings or different artists that have portraits. 3 different artists with 3 different portraits that ups the culture so much.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I just got into not really knowing what the national park did, but knowing that, I built the Eiffel Tower as Greece, and now I can build a shitload more national parks than I would otherwise. So religion, I was late on getting on that. That has kind of become my default of what I'm usually going for, no matter what culture I am. The science victory, that one you need to know what you're doing.
You have to have a plan from the second you decide to do the science victory. You have to, okay, I'm gonna build up these. I'm going to pace this out. I know when I have to roll back on doing science and produce military units and other things to keep my production up. Because if you just focus on science, you're gonna lose.
And I'd put the science victory along with the domination victory, the war victory, as you must be very active to do that. As I said with the culture victory, like passively, I was able to do that. Religion, you do need to be active on that, but you can focus towards, like usually I have 2 big waves of spreading my religion, an early one, and then you need to build up faith. Every single apostle you buy, every single missionary you buy, the price goes up for the next one. So after the first wave, they're a lot more expensive.
Yep, they gradually go up. That's kind of annoying. It's the same with builders and settlers too.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, there's like a big first wave where I'm converting my closest neighbors, hopefully the whole continent. And sometimes they're not continents. If you choose the game mode to be just islands, it's a little more difficult there to spread it naturally. But yeah, usually first wave, I'm going for my whole continent. Second wave, all right, we've got a shitload. Like you have 4,000 there on yours. All right, I have a shitload. Now I can get, and apostles at that point, 400, 500 faith. Oh shit, I can't hardly afford to get 4 of them.
Right, it starts getting
sometime.
real expensive. Especially if you're not in a golden age, which we'll touch on real quick before we wrap up.
Yeah, we didn't even get to the era score. The era score, another dynamic.
Bottom right
a lot of brain power in this to keep
right.
track of all of these things. and the era score. Yeah, there's some things you must do to manipulate getting an era score after after we go into a new time period to avoid a dark age.
Yeah, so in the bottom right of every screenshot you've seen here, there's this little number right here, which is number out of number. And that indicates how much era score you need to get out of being in a dark age the next era that comes around. So after you get out of the medieval era, you go into the Renaissance era and then classical era. So after, unfortunately, you don't know how long that is. There is a range. You can check the menu and it'll say it's between 10 to 70 turns the next era is going to be. And it's like, oh, okay, well, it's either going to be real
count
soon.
Down at 10. So
yep.
11 to 70. It could be next turn. It could be a while.
Yep. So you don't know. So you have to prepare for that. And that you're essentially fighting the clock, which is why this button that we're looking at here is the next / the A button. It's essentially the do the next thing button. So that's why this little gauge right here is always present, because this is something you really, really need to worry about. Going into the next era, you can either be in a dark age, a normal age, or a golden age, or the fourth option, a heroic age, which is one of the if you go from a dark age all the way to a golden age in the next era. Very, very hard to do, and you really have to have a plan. In this playthrough that I'm on right now as Egypt, I've had 2 golden ages and 1 dark age. The dark age happened right in the medieval era, and that is a big reason that I was losing a lot of loyalty to my cities, and I had to do a lot of things like that, because if you're in a dark age, your people are less productive, they're less happy, and biggest, they're way less loyal. And enemy cities exert more pressure on you. So not only do you generate more loyalty or generate less loyalty, but you gain more pressure from enemies. So it's really important to not end up in a dark age. And
I'm on a nice streak of not getting a dark age for many games in a row, because I'm manipulating what I'm doing. And as soon as a new era starts, sometimes I'm looking like, I have to build some wonders. I need some wonder era points in order to not be a dark age. Let's start working on those. And as I mentioned, usually I'm not focused on wonder building in the beginning. It takes so many turns.
So much production,
once I start getting to those eras where I'm like, all right, this last one was simple not to have a dark age. I'm aware of the difficulty this is going to be. I need some help. Wonders. Going to build some wonders.
As you go into the next era, it gives you a dedication, which is like one of 5 options, which you can choose to gain additional, sometimes double or triple era score for certain things, such as getting Eureka inspiration boosts, which you mentioned at the beginning of the show, the opposite ones, which are the civic inspiration boosts, 1 for founding new cities, 1 for being in military. There's a bunch of different dedications you can do. And if you don't want to go into a dark age, you really need to play around whatever dedication you pick. Such as the big one is you get 1 era score for every new district you build. So for that era, you really need to make sure that you're building all new districts. You're being very productive in that and not going to war with somebody. Because if you go to war, sure, you can accomplish some things, but you're not going to end up with enough era score for the next era, and you're going to end up in a dark age, and then you're going to start losing cities. It's a compounding thing, and despite everything, I mean, I know we're bringing this up last, but this is probably like the most forefront and important mechanic that is constantly making you worry. Because as soon as that 10-turn countdown hits for the next era, there's nothing stopping it. If you do not hit the for example, 105 out of 113, if I don't gain that last 8, I'm going to be in a dark age. And I was after this one, unfortunately. But after the dark age, I ended up in a normal age, and then a golden age, and then a normal age, and a golden age. I've been pretty good ever since that dark age, which I guess it makes sense that it was in the medieval times.
It actually wasn't in the base game. It's one of the 2 big DLCs that they introduced that in. So showing just how much care the developers put into this, this DLC is really going to change your game as we get going forward. And the extra 18 liters, as I said, most recently coming to consoles, just very happy that the developers have kept up with this game that is now years old and still releasing stuff.
Yeah, this,
even
this
though they
came out
made a
like
big
11 years ago,
whoopsie.
right?
Is it that old? No shit.
No, I don't know. I don't know when this game came out, but I know
I
it's
think
I
it's
know
like
it's quite
6.
16. Yeah, I think it came out
Uh,
in 2016 or something like that.
yeah, I think it's
6 or
something
7
like
years.
that. Um,
That clip that I just pulled up, we just talked over it, but it doesn't matter. It's just a quick showing of the era score timeline. As you gain and do various things, like I made my first Sphinx, I founded writing, I discovered a barbarian. You know, all of these things will give you era score, and some of them are worth 1, some of them are worth 4. And one of the wonders that I built, which is a key to my victory of getting out of the Dark Ages, it was a wonder that anytime I built something that was worth +3 era score, it immediately gave a +1 extra. So any +3s were always going to be +4 from now on. So I just started snowballing into era score, and it, like the last one right here, just +4 era score because I discovered something that was 3, and my wonder gives me an additional 1. So these wonders are really wonderful. As we wrap up the show and go, I know we've been going up pretty long this episode, but I mean, I'm really happy to be back. It's great to have Dillon as my new co-host. He's been absolutely wonderful, and I hope anyone that listened has enjoyed him too. Dillon, is there any more clips or anything that you want to pull up, or any last things that we want to talk about before we wrap?
Here is a frustrating clip of 3 floods hitting me back to back to back.
Fucking themselves up.
I can just mute this, and just it was 3 great floods in a row, and
Ooh, did
every
9 damage.
time it took away some citizens. The third one did not take away citizens. Just highly frustrating type of things that you must get through. Yeah, we've gotten very much into the weeds of this conversation of Civilization 6, but there is no other way to do it. There is a lot going on. This is a thinking person's game. If you like to use, like, I have to cancel plans if I'm spending all my brain power on Civilization 6 because my thinky parts aren't working well anymore.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. As I've been playing this on my Switch, I have it just sitting here on my desk or over there in the kitchen, just sitting with me, and I'll find myself just doing or playing Civ for way longer than I intend on because the only time I go and do productive things is in the in between my turn and everyone else's turn. So I'll hit like go next turn. I'll sit it down. I'll be like, okay, so I'll just do some dishes. I'll get dressed real quick. I'll do something productive, and then I'll go back over there and just keep playing. And like you said, it's so easy to just get consumed in time because the longer the turns go, the longer your turns go.
And I actually don't do that style. I have to keep my eyes on the screen because you get little updates of what the other civilizations are doing throughout the turns that can be very useful.
Very important.
Yeah, you can just go away and let the other civilizations do what they want. But even then, when it's not your turn, it's like, oh shit, I should probably be seeing what's going on with the other civilizations so I know how to react.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're not gonna keep going. We are going to maybe tease the next episode. We talked about playing a game called Valheim, which is a survival exploring game where it's kind of like Minecraft or kind of like Rust, where you just walk around and build things and explore and
I am
kill some
brand new to
bosses.
this. I have not played Valheim at all yet.
It's pretty exciting. I think you'll like it. It's pretty easy. It's a nice casual game. It can be hard and frustrating, but since you can play with people, you can always offload that frustration, with other people.
Nice simple game. Get something the complete opposite of this convoluted mess that we adore.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us this week. It's good to be back, and I look forward to our next episode. Thank you, Dillon. Is there anything you want to plug?
You've got it down there scrolling on the bottom for the visual listeners. For those people who can't see, I do co-host auditions where I audition to be a co-host of an already existing program, and I like to give constructive criticism, and I would like to make money off of doing this streaming stuff. So, hey, maybe someone would like to actually bring me aboard. So far, I've had one person reach out to me
ended up going in a different direction after I laid out what our show could be. They went with someone else, and it was canceled within 3 episodes. So whoops. But yeah, we have fun. I call it the grandchild of Jocktober. We're not busting balls hard. We're busting balls light. We want you to do better. Everybody's so creative. For those people who know that lady on TikTok, we want you to do better. We're gonna goof on you. We hope you enjoy me goofing on you over at the co-host auditions and TikTok around the clock. Those all live stream at 11:30 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. And I've been dragging my feet of getting co-host auditions in an audio-only form because I know some people much prefer audio-only. TikTok around the clock, too visual. I cannot do that in an audio-only form.
Well, maybe that's something we can help each other with. For anyone listening, you can follow Dillon at Dillon from somewhere on YouTube. You just look up his and it'll be right there. He's got a great show. If you can't hire him, you should at least watch his streams because it's a great time, and he needs those watch hours so he can eventually get monetized, so we can give him the super chats.
Yes, would love to get monetized. I do have to go cut back. I've been doing 5 days a week, Sunday through Thursday through the summer. I quit a miserable job and have been having fun streaming. It's time to get a job again very soon. Gonna have to cut that down.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.